All right, everyone, welcome back to another deep dive, and this time we're back into the Frandsen files. For our ninth one, and let me tell you, these next 10 entries, you guys were not kidding. These were some juicy ones. So to help us unpack all of this, we have our expert back with us. As always, I just love having you on the show. You always bring such incredible insights to the table, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff. The Paranormal Dakota's unique way of looking at the world.
I'm so excited to be back. And yeah, these entries are particularly fascinating, even for someone who has spent, a good amount of time with Dakota's work, as I have.
So let's just jump right in with entry number 81, Dakota's Death Prophecy. This one has been a hot topic among FrandsenFiles fans, and for good reason. The idea that someone could have precognitive visions about their own death and then potentially change the outcome. That's some serious mind-bending stuff. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's a remarkable concept and, really speaks to the fluidity of time and fate. And what's fascinating to me is the evolution of the prophecy. Initially, Dakota describes a violent end, a stabbing, and just the sheer terror that he felt experiencing that premonition.
Yeah, I can't even imagine having such a vivid, visceral vision of your own death. It must be incredibly unsettling. But then he says that the vision changes.
Yes. Through his interactions with the Galactic Federation of Worlds and his own research, the vision shifts from that violent stabbing to a peaceful passing with his wife. This change suggests that precognitive visions aren't set in stone. They might offer glimpses into potential pathways, but those pathways can be altered through conscious choices or even external forces.
Okay, now this is where my brain starts to melt a little bit. Are you saying that we have some agency over our destiny even if we have precognitive visions of the future?
Well, that's one of the questions that Dakota's work seems to be grappling with. It challenges our traditional understanding of time and fate.
It makes me think about Dakota's book series, The Ones Who Walk All Worlds. There's this one character who receives a death prophecy and actively tries to change their fate. Do you think Dakota's using fiction as a way to explore and potentially influence his own destiny?
It's certainly an interesting parallel. We know Dakota uses his fiction to process these complex ideas and to explore different realities. It's possible he's using this as a tool to navigate his precognitive experiences and understand his own potential pathways.
It's a thought-provoking connection for sure. All right, let's move on to entry 82, which delves into Dakota's pre-life memories. He describes experiencing three types, past incarnations: memories connected to L, his partner, and ancestral memories. Where should we even begin with this one?
Well, each category is fascinating in its own right. Let's start with his past life memories, particularly his experiences as Ilarian, a field medic, and former intelligence operative for the GFW.
Okay, that's the one that really stood out to me. Dakota's descriptions of Ilarion's life on the planet Talihara, his training within the Tal Shiar regime, and his eventual defection to the GFW are so vivid.
Absolutely. And he goes into detail about Ilarion's involvement with Nazi Germany during World War II, and his capture and torture by the Sikaar, a reptilian extraterrestrial species. The level of detail is astounding and suggests a deep connection to that past life.
What I find particularly interesting is how some of Dakota's present-day anxieties and fears seem to stem from Ilarion's traumatic experiences. Do you think past life trauma can manifest in our current lives in such a tangible way?
It's certainly a possibility if we consider the idea of reincarnation and the continuity of consciousness. It's not unreasonable to think that traumatic experiences from past lives could leave an imprint on our current psyche.
That's intense. Okay, so we've got past life memories, but what about these memories connected to L? Dakota claims to have memories of L's childhood that occurred before he was even born, despite L being older than him. How is that even possible?
Well, it points to a deep and possibly predestined connection between them. Dakota describes it as a sort of etheric connection between their souls, which aligns with concepts like twin flames or soulmates.
So they're not just romantic partners in this lifetime, but their souls have potentially shared experiences across multiple lifetimes.
That's what Dakota seems to be suggesting. It challenges our linear understanding of time and relationships, suggesting that connections between souls can transcend individual lifetimes.
All right, so past lives and soul connections, check and check. But what about these ancestral memories? Are we talking about memories passed down genetically, like some sort of inherited memory?
That's precisely what Dakota proposes. He describes feeling like these memories were uploaded into his consciousness at birth, almost as if they were encoded in his DNA.
One memory that really stuck out was his vision of a ritualistic sacrifice, which he later connected to Mummy Juanita, a teenage Inca girl who was in fact sacrificed.
Yes, and DNA testing later confirmed a distant ancestral link between them. It's a powerful example of how genetic memory could play a role in paranormal experiences.
It makes you wonder how much of what we perceive as psychic phenomena or past life memories could actually be echoes of our ancestors embedded in our very DNA.
It certainly adds another layer to our understanding of the human experience and how we might be connected to the past in ways we're only beginning to grasp.
Okay, so we've covered death prophecies, past lives, soul connections, and genetic memories. I think we need a moment to process all of this.
It's a lot to take in. Dakota's work has a way of challenging our assumptions and pushing us to consider possibilities that lie beyond our everyday understanding.
Well, we're only just getting started. Remember those drone sightings that were all over the news back in 2024 and 2025? Dakota had some interesting things to say about those in Entry 83. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. The way Dakota weaves together government conspiracies, UFO sightings, and his own personal experiences is fascinating.
Well, then let's dive right in. Back in those days, it seemed like everyone had a theory about those drones. Were they black market weapons, part of some elaborate extraterrestrial disclosure effort, or maybe even connected to the infamous Project Bluebeam?
Dakota explored all of these possibilities and more. He used his law enforcement contacts to dig deep into the sightings, carefully considering each theory and analyzing the available evidence.
And he doesn't shy away from sharing his own encounters. He mentions 2 personal drone sightings, both connected to Homeland Security investigations. That's straight out of the X-Files.
What I appreciate about Dakota's approach is that he doesn't jump to conclusions. He explores every angle, acknowledging the possibility that some sightings could be explained by conventional activities like surveillance or military operations.
But he doesn't dismiss the more outlandish possibilities either. He acknowledges the increasing transparency surrounding UAPs and the potential for something truly extraordinary to be happening.
There's a real sense of intrigue in this entry, especially when he mentions the small aircraft that made an emergency landing near Twin Falls. In February 2025, right in the path of a drone he had spotted the night before.
That's one of those details that sends chills down your spine. It makes you wonder if these incidents are isolated or part of a larger pattern, something we're only just beginning to understand.
It's a question that lingers long after you finish reading the entry, and it speaks to the power of Dakota's work. His ability to spark curiosity, challenge assumptions, and leave us wanting more.
Well, let's move on to something a little less spooky, at least on the surface. Entry 84 tackles a question that's been swirling around Dakota for a while. How does he fund all of this research?
The allegations surrounding Dakota's funding are almost as intriguing as his research itself. Given his age and the scope of his work, many have speculated about secret societies, government payouts, even money laundering schemes.
Yeah, the rumors are pretty wild. People love a good conspiracy theory, especially when it involves someone as enigmatic as Dakota.
But what we learn in this entry is that the reality is far less sensational, though no less fascinating. Dakota, from a very young age, has been incredibly resourceful and entrepreneurial.
He talks about using birthday money and babysitting gigs to buy his first ghost hunting equipment. It's kind of inspiring, to be honest.
It speaks to his drive and his passion. He built his career from the ground up, always hustling, always finding creative ways to fund his research.
And as he got older, he diversified his income streams. His company, the Bald and Bonkers Network, generates revenue through books, merchandise, and digital content.
He's also not afraid to work a regular job, using that income to supplement his research. And what's remarkable is his transparencies. He's open about his finances, even going so far as to create an educational platform, the Bald and Bonkers Network Academy, to teach others how to fund their own research.
It's like he's saying, hey, if I can do it, so can you.
Exactly. He's all about empowering others and sharing his knowledge. And that brings us to one of the most heartwarming entries in this set. Entry 85, where we meet Octavia, the space cat.
Oh, I love this one. The arrival of Octavia, a polydactyl cat, adds a touch of whimsy to Dakota's world.
It's more than just a cute animal story, though. The timing of Octavia's arrival coincides with Dakota's experiments with CE5 protocols, which are essentially attempts to communicate with extraterrestrial beings.
And during one of these sessions, he receives a message through a spirit box, supposedly from his daughter, Olivia, stating that the cat is a gift.
Right. And Octavia isn't just any cat. She exhibits unusual behaviors, particularly her sensitivity to UFO activity and energy signatures. She seems to perceive things beyond human perception.
It's like she's tuned into a different frequency, perhaps even possessing some form of psychic ability.
Dakota theorizes that she might be a biologically enhanced animal, perhaps even a hybrid being, sent to him for protection or as a subtle way for the GFW to maintain a presence in his life.
That's a comforting thought, especially given some of the darker aspects of his work. And speaking of comforting, let's move on to entry 86, Olivia's sign. This one is a real tearjerker.
It is. This entry describes a time when Dakota was under immense stress due to a difficult move and ongoing personal challenges. Olivia, sensing his emotional state, reaches out to him telepathically, offering comfort and reassurance.
And then, as if to solidify her presence, something incredible happens. A formation of lights appears in the night sky, arranged in the shape of a heart. Olivia's voice confirms that this is a message of love from his star family, letting him know that he's never truly alone.
It's a beautiful moment, a cosmic hug from beyond the stars. It reinforces the idea that love and connection can transcend physical boundaries and even death itself.
I think we're going to need a tissue break after this one.
Agreed. These entries really run the gamut of emotions, but it's that blend of the profound and the personal that makes Dakota's work so compelling.
Okay, I think I've recovered enough from that last entry. To move on to something a little less emotionally charged, although knowing Dakota, it's probably going to take another unexpected turn. Let's talk about entry 87 Project. Doom. I have to admit this one really surprised me.
Yeah, it is a departure from his usual paranormal investigations, that's for sure. But it also reveals a lot about Dakota's creative process and his lifelong fascination with the Doom video game franchise.
Oh, yeah. Remember those games? I spent countless hours blasting demons in those virtual worlds. Pure adrenaline-fueled fun. But Dakota's vision for a Doom film adaptation, it's something else entirely.
He wants to create a film that goes beyond the action horror tropes and really delves deeper into the psychological and thematic depths of the Doom universe. He envisions a film that explores the protagonist's PTSD, his inner struggles, and the psychological toll of battling these demonic forces.
So it's less about the gore and more about the internal battle.
Exactly. It's a more nuanced and introspective take on the source material. And what's particularly fascinating is how Dakota draws inspiration from Mick Gordon's iconic sound design. For the 2016 Doom reboot, he even talks about sonifying protective sigils, essentially translating ancient symbols into sound frequencies that could have a real-world impact.
Okay, hold on. Sonifying protective sigils. Can you break that down for me? That sounds a little out there even for Dakota.
Well, it's based on the idea that sound can have a profound effect on our consciousness and even the physical world. Think about how certain frequencies can create patterns in sand or water. Dakota believes that by converting these ancient protective symbols into specific sound frequencies, he might be able to create an auditory shield against negative energies or entities.
Wow, that's next-level thinking. It's like he's blending ancient mysticism with modern sound technology. Makes you wonder what kind of film he could create if he actually gets Project Doom off the ground.
It would be something truly unique and thought-provoking, and it speaks to Dakota's ability to bridge these seemingly disparate fields, the paranormal sound design storytelling, and create something entirely new.
All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about entry 88, which deals with a much less pleasant topic. Dakota's relationship with a self-proclaimed psychic that he refers to as fraud.
Oh yeah, this entry is a cautionary tale about the dangers of misinformation, ego, and validation seeking. Within the paranormal community, it highlights the importance of critical thinking and discernment, especially when dealing with these extraordinary claims.
Yeah, it's disheartening to see how fraud manipulated and exploited others for personal gain. He spread false rumors, tried to control Dakota's platform, and generally sowed chaos within their circle. It seems like a classic case of someone using their alleged abilities for personal gain rather than genuine exploration.
Yes, and what makes this entry particularly impactful is how it affected Dakota personally. He describes feeling betrayed and disillusioned by someone he once considered a friend. It forced him to reevaluate his approach to paranormal research and prioritize the development of fraud detection techniques and mental health awareness within the field.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the unknown. But we need to remember that not everyone who claims to have special abilities or insights is genuine.
Right, and this entry serves as a reminder that skepticism and critical thinking are essential tools. For anyone interested in exploring the paranormal, it's not about dismissing everything as fake, but rather approaching these subjects with a healthy dose of discernment.
Well, after that roller coaster of an entry, I'm ready for something a little lighter. Let's talk about entry 89, the softer side of the Lord of Shadows.
Now, this is one of the most surprising entries in this set. We get a glimpse into a side of the Lord of Shadows, the entity Dakota believes to be the biblical Cain that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I was really caught off guard by this one. We've come to expect a certain level of darkness and menace from the Lord of Shadows, based on Dakota's previous encounters. But in this entry, we see a potential for protectiveness, even compassion.
The source of this revelation is one of Dakota's ex-girlfriends, Jane, who had a history of abuse and psychological struggles. She claims to have encountered the Lord of Shadows on several occasions, and instead of feeling threatened, she felt protected by him.
That's a startling contrast to Dakota's own experiences. It challenges our preconceived notions of this powerful and often menacing entity. Do you think it's possible that the Lord of Shadows is more complex than we initially realized?
Dakota theorizes that the Lord of Shadows might possess a form of subconscious protectiveness, perhaps even being drawn to individuals who remind him of his mother Eve.
It's an intriguing theory. It adds a layer of psychological depth to an entity often portrayed as purely evil. And it raises the question of whether there might be a path to understanding, and even working with the Lord of Shadows in a way that benefits both him and humanity.
That's a question that Dakota is actively exploring, and it speaks to his unwavering belief in the potential for redemption, even for entities that seem inherently dark or dangerous.
That brings us to our final entry for this deep dive, Entry 90, which focuses on safety concerns for field research of cryptozoology. It's a topic that often gets overlooked in the excitement of hunting for cryptids.
This entry highlights the importance of prioritizing safety and preparedness when conducting fieldwork, especially when dealing with potentially dangerous creatures. Dakota draws from his own experiences with the company, where he witnessed firsthand the negligence and lack of proper protocols, particularly when it came to cryptid research.
Yeah, he talks about encountering this group of researchers who were completely unprepared for a fieldwork expedition. They lacked basic wildlife awareness training, first aid skills, even proper clothing and equipment. It's a recipe for disaster, especially when you're dealing with creatures that are largely unknown and potentially dangerous.
Yes. And Dakota advocates for mandatory wildlife awareness training, first aid, and survival skills, and appropriate uniform policies, all of which were dismissed by the company's leadership as unnecessary or too costly. It's a frustrating example of how bureaucratic thinking and a focus on image can overshadow the well-being of those conducting fieldwork.
But Dakota, being Dakota, didn't just complain about the problem. He took action. He's using his platform, the Bald and Bonkers Network Academy, to create educational courses that address these safety concerns.
It's a testament to his commitment to not just exploring the unknown, but doing so responsibly and ethically. He wants to empower future investigators to prioritize their safety and approach fieldwork with the preparation and respect it deserves.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the sensational aspects of Dakota's work, the UFO sightings, the past lives, the encounters with otherworldly entities. But what I find truly inspiring is his dedication to making the paranormal field a safer and more responsible space for everyone.
Absolutely. He's not just about uncovering secrets. He's about building a community of informed and ethical researchers who are committed to exploring the unknown in a way that benefits both humanity and the entities we encounter.
All right, so let's take a step back here for a second, look at the bigger picture. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about Dakota's evolving death prophecy, which raises these questions about the nature of free will versus destiny.
Yeah, and we also delved into his past life memories as Valerian, a field medic and spy for the GFW, exploring a potential for past life trauma to influence our present lives.
Right, and we explored his memories connected to Elle, his partner, suggesting this profound, possibly multi-lifetime connection between their souls.
And then there's this fascinating concept of ancestral memories being encoded in our DNA, as evidenced by Dakota's connection to Mummy Juanita.
And of course, let's not forget those mysterious drone sightings. Back in 2024 and 2025, Dakota's investigations uncovered potential connections to government conspiracies, extraterrestrial disclosure efforts, and even the infamous Project Bluebeam.
And his research methods are impressive. He doesn't just jump to conclusions, he meticulously examines the evidence, explores multiple perspectives, and uses his law enforcement connections to dig deeper than most could.
Oh, and remember Octavia the Space Cat. Her arrival coincided with Dakota's attempts to communicate with extraterrestrial beings, and her unusual behavior suggests she might be more than just an ordinary feline.
Yeah, the story of Octavia is both heartwarming and intriguing. It suggests that Dakota's connection to the GFW might be deeper and more personal than we initially realized.
And then there's the emotional story of Olivia's sign, the heart-shaped formation of lights in the night sky, a message of love from Dakota's star family. It's a reminder that even in the face of darkness and uncertainty, there's always hope and connection.
Absolutely.
And we can't overlook his ambitious project, Doom, a film adaptation. That aims to explore the psychological and thematic depths of the beloved video game franchise.
Yeah.
That one really surprised me. I never thought I'd see Dakota venturing into the world of filmmaking. But it makes sense given his passion for storytelling and his fascination with exploring complex themes through different mediums.
Yeah, it's a reminder that Dakota's a multifaceted individual with a wide range of interests and talents. He's constantly pushing boundaries and exploring new ways to express his unique perspective on the world.
Of course, we also discussed his difficult experience with fraud, the self-proclaimed psychic who turned out to be a manipulator and con artist. It's a stark reminder that not everyone operating in the paranormal field has pure intentions.
Right, and it highlights the importance of critical thinking, skepticism, and ethical conduct within the paranormal community.
We also saw a different side to the Lord of Shadows in Entry 89, a potential for protectiveness and compassion that challenges our previous understanding of this enigmatic entity.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even the most seemingly dark or dangerous beings are capable of growth and change.
And finally, we talked about the crucial issue of safety in fieldwork, especially when it comes to researching potentially dangerous cryptids.
Yeah, Dakota's commitment to creating a safer and more responsible environment for paranormal research is commendable. He's not just about uncovering the unknown. He's about doing it in a way that minimizes risk and prioritizes the well-being of those involved.
So what does it all mean? We've explored 10 entries, each offering a glimpse into Dakota Frandsen's extraordinary life and research. We've encountered precognitive visions, past lives, soul connections, government conspiracies, extraterrestrial encounters, and so much more.
Yeah, Dakota's work challenges our assumptions about reality consciousness and our place in the cosmos. It asks us to consider possibilities that lie beyond our everyday perception.
It's a reminder that the universe is this vast and mysterious place, full of wonders and possibilities we're only just beginning to grasp.
And it highlights the importance of approaching the unknown with both curiosity and critical thinking, with a healthy dose of skepticism and a willingness to challenge our own beliefs.
So as we wrap up this 9th deep dive into the Frandsen files, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. Given everything we've explored, from the potential for altered fate to the interconnectedness of souls and the ever-present mysteries of the paranormal, what role does psychology play in shaping our understanding of these phenomena?
Is it simply a matter of perception and belief and the workings of the human mind? Or is there something more, something that transcends our current scientific paradigms?
And perhaps even more importantly, how can we approach these subjects with both curiosity and critical thinking, ensuring that our pursuit of knowledge remains grounded in integrity, compassion, and a deep respect for the unknown? Keep those questions in mind as you continue your own exploration of the Frandsen files and the vast mysteries that lie beyond our everyday perception.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep an open mind. The journey of discovery has only just begun.